everyone. We have discussed what is the definition of a best practice and components, and we have seen 11 best practices in the previous video. Now we are going to discuss about what are the other best practices that exist. And coming to that, the 12th one is best practices for user involvement in software projects. In this, the user participation is a major feature of the new agile development methodology where the users representatives are embedded in the project team. For many major applications, user involvement includes joint application design, quality function deployment, reviewing business rules and algorithms, and agile projects on a full-time basis. And agile plays a very much important in nowadays in every project. That is, we have to have a user interaction in our project by using the agile methodology. And best practices for executive management support of software applications. The top of the executive management support of new applications varies with overall size of the application. For example, for the projects below out of 500 function points, executive involvement may hover around zero because these projects are so low in cost and low in risk has to be well below the level of executive interest. And executive management support indicates the following roles like here if you see the approving the return of investment ROI calculations and providing funding for software development projects, assigning key executives to oversight governance and project roles. So executive management support of software applications is one of the best practices we can say. And other one is the best practice for software architecture and the design. The architecture of a large software applications concern its overall structure and the nature of its connections to other applications and indeed to the outside world. A specific architecture needs to be selected for the new applications or monolithic application, service-oriented architecture, event-driven architecture, peer-to-peer and client-server and many others also there. Here if you see that this is an example of judgment architectural schema. In this we have the columns shows the essential activities and the rows shows the essential personal involvement with the software, and the intersection of the columns and the rows details tasks and decisions for each join of the each row and column. In fact, mining existence of the software business rules, algorithms, and architectural information is a good first step toward creating libraries of reusable components and a workable taxonomy of software industries. And other one is the best practice for software project planning. Project planning is very much important in every plan, every project in order to have a good output of every project. So project planning of the large software projects in a large corporations often involves both planning specialists and automated planning tools. This is the state of architecture of the planning software project includes develop of complete work breakdown structures, collecting and analyzing historical benchmark data for similar projects, and planning aid provided by the formal project officers. These are the state of art planning for software projects. And this is an example, if you see that this is an example for the project planning of LSST system. Here they have the requirements and operational plans, then they also identify the project milestones and risk and the DM system requirements and the roadmap they created. After that they are sent to the PMCs and they release the project plan. Each of the each of the subsystems is having the attributes which maintains their functionalities. So as used by the managers, the term planning concerns with the network of activities and the critical path required to complete a project. The term estimating concerns cost and resource predictions and quality predictions. The two terms are related but not identical. The other best practice is the best practice for software project risk analysis. Firstly, we need to know what is risk analysis. Project risk analysis is the art of science, identifying, analyzing, and responding to risk throughout the life of a project and the best interest of meeting project aspects. And these are the different technical, cost risk, and schedule risk. Which in technical we need it emphasizes support team and avoid standalone project structure. In cost risk, increase the frequency of project monitoring. In schedule risk, increase the frequency of a project monitoring. The best practice for the software risk include risk analysis even prior to development of full requirements, because we need to have a risk analysis before any requirements of a software product. So the early prediction of the defect potentials and removal efficiencies, and comparison of the project risk patterns to similar projects, and acquisition of the benchmarks from the ISBSG database is very much important in order to evaluate the risk analysis for every project. Another one is the best practice for software project value analysis. In a project, we need to value the time, budget, and the quality. We are having the different tasks. We need to see what is the time for this, budget for this, and quality for this, and within the specified time we need to complete our task and produce it to our higher officials. So software applications have both financial and intangible values aspects. The financial value can be subdivided into cost reductions and revenue increase. This value analysis study includes the tangible financial value, cost reductions from the new application, and direct revenue from new application, indirect revenue from the new application also. These are the different value analysis studies. The other one is best practices for the canceling or turnaround projects. We need to have a eye on canceling projects or turnaround projects, because there is a quote saying that we need to have recover what we lost. So unfortunately, only a small percentage of trouble projects can be rescued and turned into successful projects. The reason for this one is, firstly, trouble projects usually have bad tracking of progress, so that it is too late to rescue the project by the time of the problem surface to higher management or the clients. The second is trouble projects with the schedule delays and cost overruns steadily lose value. These are the best practices for turnaround of a project, which include careful and accurate status tracking, re-estimation of the schedules and the cost due to requirement changes, and re-estimate of the values of the frequent intervals, and considering intangible values as well as the internal rate of return. These are the different practices turnaround of a project. And coming to the next one, best practice software project organization structure. Project organization structure is very much important, because in order to identify a particular design or the structure, we need to have a organization structures. The software project organization structure and software specialization are the topics that have more opinions than facts associated with them. So here we have the organization design. The organization is a social entity that has a collective goal and is linked to the external environment, and the organization structure represents the management hierarchy, reporting relations, who report to whom, and the official chain of the chain or control or authority. And there are the these are the types of organization which is having the functional organization. And this type relies on formal rules, procedures, coordinated plans, budgets, fairly common segmented by department and their functions, and works well in repetitive and stable environment. And project, we also have the projectized environment organization. In the projectized organization, this is team members are permanent, and sometimes they are hired as a temporary workers to help with the project until it completed. And the project managers works with the complete autonomy, central authority of power over the project, and the team is on the project full time and report to the project manager. In coming to the matrix organization, it is widely used in management of large projects or the product development process. The matrix management is a type of organizational management in which people with similar skills are pooled for work assignments. And this is the structure of the matrix organization. Here we are having the top management. Under that we are having the PMO, IT department, finance department, HR, and other departments. Under that we are having the subsystems like project manager 1, 2, 3, and staff 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this is a matrix organization structure. And advantages of the organization structure is, organization structure is means to achieve goals and respond problems. Differentiation, project organization more flexible, and need to know criteria for appropriate project organization structure. And this is an example of the IBM organization structure. Here we are having the IBM CEO at the top level, Ginni Rometty, and the directors. And under the directors, we are having CEO, vice presidents. Under the director, we are having the CFO, vice presidents, and the chairman, presidents. And under that, we are having some other technical and non-technical staffs. And other one is a best practice for training managers of software. As we discussed earlier, training of the software managers is very much important, which includes that sizing techniques such as function points, formal estimating tools and techniques, project planning tools and techniques, benchmark techniques, and source of industry benchmark, and risk analysis methods. They need to have security issues and security vulnerables, and value analysis methods. They have to have, these are the different state of art of the project management on large scale includes. And other one is this is also the best practice for training of software projects. And this one is the best practices for training software technical person. The software development and maintenance domain are characterized by workers who usually have fairly strong work ethic and reasonable competence in core activities such as design, programming, unit testing. And if we see that this is the model of software technical trainee person process, in which we have the assessment stage, training stage, and evaluation stage. In assessment, we have organization need assessment, task assessment, development, and development of the criteria of evaluation. This is a cyclic process, and these are the additional skill sets needed to be trained for employees, like application domain, databases, skill set for subcontract companies, etc. And this one is the best practice use of the software specialist. The increasing use of the software specialist is a sign that the body of knowledge of software engineering and the software management is expanding, which is beneficial situation. And we have many different special occupation groups. Like the specialist occupation groups are configuration control specialist, cost estimating specialist, customer liaison specialist, customer support specialist. These are the different specialist occupation groups. And the other best practice is best practices for the certifying software engineers and specialist and manager. The Joint Certification Board would identify the specialist categories and create the certification criteria. Certification is very much important for the software engineering or any other development, because in order to identify the person that we need to analyze what are his skills and what he is up to. So certification is very important for every person. So as of 2019, there are two popular certifications, which is a Certified Software Development Professional and the Information System Professional. And these are the voluntary certifications that are available. We have, these are the different topics, and this is an figure of the CSPP certification, and this is an ISP certification, which are two important popular certifications. And the other one, best practice, is best practice for communication during the software projects. The communication is very much important in every project in order to have a better output, better quality of a project. And these are the channels of communications like face-to-face, physically next to each other, video conferences, telephone, email, or document exchange or memos. And communication is an attribute that touches many of the management, leadership, organization structure, technical tools, team experience, schedule, and development. And these are the communication channels need to establish, because monthly status reports to corporate executives from the project time, weekly progress reports to clients by vendors, project management, and daily communication between the prime contract and all subcontractors. So communication is very much important in every project. And this is the structure or styles of a communication. We have chain, formal, hierarchical, wheel, central, and the all member direct member structure. And the next best practice is software reusability. Software reusability is very much important, because in order to have a cost reduction in the software project. So next one is the and for that reusable products, we need to have the certification of the reusable materials. This is the other best practice. This in this, if reuse is going to become the major factor for software, it needs to be elevated from the informal and uncontrolled status to formal and controlled status. So this is an example, real world example, that Microsoft unveils new Windows 10 tools enabling reuse of the code. This is from the Microsoft website. You can find it. And the other best practices for programming or coding. The programming or coding remains the central activity for the software development, and because the programming is a manual and the error-prone activity, and new programming languages have been developed at the rate more than a month from the past 30 years, and there are 700 programming languages. These are like procedural, object-oriented, declarative, functional, and the event-driven. The best practices for programming or selection of a programming languages to match application needs, utilization of the structured programming practices for procedural code. These are the best practices for programming. We also have different programming styles like pair programming, ping pong programming, etc. And this is a best practice for software project governance. Software project governance is also important in every project and every organization. And other best practice is software project measurements and metrics. We need to have the measurements, because accumulated effort, accumulated cost, accomplishing selected milestone, development, productivity, maintenance. So these all must be included in every project. The other best practice is software benchmarks and baselines. The benchmarks and baselines both viewed as a best practice, because they have great value in handling of irrational schedule demands or attempting applications with inadequate management and development methods. So benchmarking is also very important here. We have the ISBS is a best benchmarking for software products and software projects. The other best practice is best practice for software project milestone cost tracking. This is an example for software project cost tracking by IBM. The milestone tracking refers to the having the formal closure on development of key deliverables. Project milestone is very important. We need to have a 3D model of the software objects and class in order to track our system. And the other best practice, change control before release. We need to have a change control for many applications before it releases. And this is the best practice for configuration control. The configuration control means multiple people have to work on a software that is changing. So more than one version of the software has to be supported, releases systems, custom. So software configuration control is also very much important. And software quality assurance. The software quality assurance is the general name for organization specialists who are responsible for ensuring and certifying the quality levels of the software applications before they are delivered to the customers. And these are the roles normally played by SQA groups, estimating qualities and measuring defect removal and applying Six Sigma, applying quality functions. And software quality organization primary units that measure the software quality, like for customer satisfaction, defect quantities, and origins. And these are the different software quality models and process standards. We have ISO, CMMI, and this is an example for software quality assurance. CMMI, here we are having the CMMI different versions and different levels. and the process areas, and Six Sigma, which are having different